Welcome back, everybody, to RJ Rennie Unhinged, Ep.3, where we had some breaking news occur in the National Football League yesterday. For those that are unaware, yesterday, which was Saturday, Matthew Stafford was traded from the Detroit Lions to the Los Angeles Rams for Jared Goff and three picks, one third round and two future first rounds. Now, I had just been having a discussion with a friend a couple days ago before it happened, and I was thinking, you know, before this season, I hadn't really thought of Stafford as other than a Kirk Cousins-esque quarterback. It could be somewhat because of division bias. Uh, it's kind of hard to look at the quarterbacks in your division, especially when your division is the NFC North, and compare them to and you have to compare them to the elite play of Aaron Rodgers. It's very difficult to do that. And before this season, you were just looking at the production of the Lions, and I was drawing the conclusion of the Lions' production to Matthew Stafford's production. Now, in the past couple seasons, he has dealt with some injuries, but even without the injuries, I was looking at the overall team performance and attributing it to almost exclusively Matthew Stafford's play. Now, after this season, and watching some of the plays that he made this season, I finally realized what everyone was saying about, free Matthew Stafford and the Lions destroy this man's career, because you saw some of the talent that he has in the arm talent and the arm strength. We all knew that, the toughness that he has. We've seen that before. But this season, this dude made some incredible throws this season, and nobody was talking about it. They're the type of throws that if somebody that wears number 15 in Kansas City had made, the internet would have broken and every single sports media outlet would have bowed down with their arms open and praised the ever-loving name of Patrick Mahomes. Now, I say that not to hate on Patrick Mahomes, because I do love the way he plays. The dude is the next step of Aaron Rodgers' play. He takes the throws that Aaron's made and does even more of them, things that you just haven't seen from the quarterback position before. But some of the things that he does, they get a little carried away with, and it doesn't take a lot to see that. But you also have other quarterbacks that can make those same type of plays. Matthew Stafford is one of those, and nobody talks about him. Two plays in particular, and these were all summed up into an Instagram post that was put out, I believe, either this morning or yesterday. And it was one throw that he made where I believe it was against the Jaguars. He pump faked to get the free rushing end in the air, and then kind of almost full sidearm, like 180-degree sidearm to his tight end Jesse James. And it was a short completion, but after getting his guy in the air, he couldn't make the throw like a normal overhand throw because the defender was right there. He was going to bat it down. So he had to change his arm angle, and it's an arm angle like you see Mahomes do kind of throws like this. You see a lot of quarterbacks can make throws like this. He took it a step further and basically sidearmed like a shortstop throw all the way down here. It's something you don't see other than the sidewinder pitcher in baseball. You just don't see that kind of arm angle used to throw a football. And Stafford did it without even hesitating and completed the pass, albeit like a 2 or 3 yard completion. It was just a little check down. But, I mean, that's still impressive, and you don't see anything. You didn't see anything from the sports media covering it. It's like, whoa, look at the arm angle of Matthew Stafford. You didn't see anything like that. And then there was another one against the Titans, which was, I believe, week 15? Yeah, week 15. It was a week before they came and played us in Lambeau. And they're getting blown out at this point. And Stafford hits a beautiful no-look throw into, I believe it was Kenny Golladay in the end zone. Now, I don't know if it stood because I would like to think if it was a touchdown that everyone would have been all over this, yet not some, and you wouldn't have heard it from just random Instagram people commenting on, well, if Mahomes did this, the internet would break. But it was beautiful. He drew the linebacker that was fading. It was two linebackers back there, both of them splitting like this. And as this linebacker was going backwards, he looked this way, threw it back on his back numbers, and before the linebacker turned around, the ball was already caught behind Kenny Golladay. Well, behind him, and Kenny Golladay caught it for the touchdown. It was a beautiful throw, And it was like he used his eyes exactly how he needed to. He looked off, made the linebacker go one way, threw it right behind him, right off of his shoulder pads, and completed the pass. So those are two throws that I've seen this season that have really uh, made me start to appreciate the arm talent of Matthew Stafford and realize that yes, it is in fact the Detroit Lions that have been ruining his career. So let's compare the two quarterbacks that were just thrown. And the question I have for you is how will this move impact the quarterback carousel that has already been underway for this offseason? We already saw it with the Deshaun Watson actually formally requesting a trade from the Houston Texans. He has a lot of landing spots. There are a lot of teams in the market for a quarterback in this upcoming season, and there are a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be on the move. So it is interesting, and these were actually two of them. The Rams may have been in the market for one after Jared Goff's kind of, you don't want to say lackluster because he played well, but he's never been an explosive caliber quarterback. And we'll get to that in a second. And so you have Matthew Stafford, who formally said to the Lions that he wasn't going to come back and they were going to try to deal him. And turns out that was the first move that was done, was him going to the Rams. So we're gonna analyze this deal and see how it works for both teams, and then we're gonna ask the question: how will this affect the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, and how will this affect the QB carousel? Not only the ones that are in the league, but also the ones that are going to be drafted in this upcoming draft. So first off, how do you think Matthew Stafford will do in Los Angeles playing for the Rams? Now, right off the bat, you obviously know that Matt Stafford is an arm talent. I just explained to you a couple throws that demonstrate that he is, in fact, an arm talent. He is one of the toughest quarterbacks in the league. The dude messed up his ACL joint and still came back in and threw a game-winning touchdown pass. I mean, it's incredible to watch this man's toughness. He's ran over 250-pound linebackers. I mean, the dude's built like a machine. Okay, he's real tough. But he was always in just a dumpster fire of a team. Now, he did have a guy that wore the number 81 to throw to, and they had a little bit of success with that. But Calvin Johnson's entire career was pissed away on that Lions team. And Matthew Stafford is no exception. He's, 33, 34 years old now, former number 1 overall pick. He needs to get out. He needed to get out of Detroit just to finally get something on his career. The dude has nothing but numbers. He's put up really good numbers in all of his seasons, but never gotten anywhere close to where he needs to be. I don't know how many winning seasons he's had since he's been in the league, but I know it's not that many, and I know it's not a greater percentage of winning seasons than losing seasons. And that's a lot to do with the Lions franchise. He's been in the coach carousel. His defense has always been crappy. His offensive line has been horrible. He's rarely had a running game. I mean, other than Adrian Peterson, you really haven't heard that many big-name running backs come out of Detroit since Matthew Stafford has been there. He's always been behind the 8 ball as far as him literally have to carry his team. And I don't think he's the Aaron Rodgers type caliber who can literally will your team to the NFC Championship game. And obviously I can't say the Super Bowl because he's only done that one time. And you can't just willing your team, picking up a bad defense and using the weapons that he has. But granted, I mean, even in the Rodgers run through, let's say, 14 to 16, he was still throwing to weapons like Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and a young Devontae Adams. And then back when he won the Super Bowl, he was throwing to people like Donald Driver, Gray Jennings, and Jermichael Finley. So he still had more weapons than Stafford has, even though Calvin Johnson is like the equivalent of 2 receivers. The Megatron's massive. But if you put him in a system where you can have success with a lackluster quarterback, 2 examples came to mind when I was first thinking about landing destinations for him. San Francisco and the Rams. Because you look at those particular systems, and those are all scheme-based. And the 2 quarterbacks they're running with right now, Jimmy Garoppolo and Jared Goff, are not elite quarterbacks by any stretch of the imagination. They're very good game managers. They make throws when you need them to make throws. But you don't have to rely on them at all because of how effective this system is. Look at the NFC Championship game last year against Green Bay when they literally ran for 200 yards on the ground. And granted, Green Bay's defense wasn't putting anything up to stop them. But the scheme that they made is keep expanding your edges. Get outside. You have 2 or 3 blockers coming across the formation to lead the way. There was always more blockers on the side of the ball where it was being run than there were defenders for the Packers. And that is a Shanahan system. He's always going to have players in the right position to make a play. Now, this year that team was devastated with injuries. Like when we went back to Santa Clara to play them, we were playing against their JV team. Richie James was their number one receiver. They went down to their fourth string running back, which just so happened to be Baylor grad JaMychal Hasty, who played relative well when he was in. But that team was absolutely devastated with injuries, Jimmy G included. So, yes, it's the system, but you also need competent skill position players and good blockers in order to make that system work. But as far as the quarterback's concerned, it's a system where the quarterback is not that crucial as it would be in, say, a system where a West Coast system where it's literally just all passing. And Los Angeles is similar. Los Angeles is a very good two-dimensional offense. It's a smash-mouth running game, wing motion, and let's go into play action. Again, you don't need that elite of a quarterback to do that, but when you put an elite quarterback in that type of system, for example, Aaron Rodgers, because LaFleur's system is kind of a, taking off of Sean McVay's thing, a lot of play action, a lot of rollouts. You see what he can do, 48-5 in a system like that, and he was elite on play action this season. So now you put Matthew Stafford in that type of system. You put a guy with superb arm talent, a guy with superb arm strength, a guy with good accuracy and toughness. You put him on a team that is actually competent. You put him on a team with protection. You put him on a team with a consistently good run game. 3 young backs who are always going to you can put one of them in, you don't lose anything from the guy you put in before. They're all just going to be smash mouth backs, and then you're going to have wide open tight ends and possibly touchdowns on play action. Now, play action isn't been something that Matthew Stafford's used to because it's hard to run play action when you're down by 20 and all you have to do is pass. The defense really isn't biting on a run fake when they know you're going to throw. But in a McVay system where you really don't want to break away from your game plan, and even if you have to, you have a guy now that can do that. You saw several times where Jared Goff got in a hole. Look, for example, the second game that they played against the Seahawks. The Seahawks got up to a 10-point lead with 4 or 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and you needed Goff to make some plays in order to get them back into the game because this was for the NFC West title. If the Seahawks won this game, they took the division. And the Rams had already beaten them once before. They didn't want to see the same thing happen. So you have Goff, and Goff was making a decent amount of plays, but they still were maybe 10 yards, 5 yards, little out routes. It was nothing very explosive because that's not the type of quarterback that Jared Goff is. Jared Goff is a really good game manager. He makes smart decisions, but he's not a very explosive player. He's a quintessential system quarterback. So I don't know how he's going to fare very well in Detroit. He's literally going to have to be the guy, and he's going to go from a system that's very well organized to a franchise that is in shambles and has been for a very long time. You turn that, so in essence, the Rams completely won this trade. And you see them giving up a couple more picks to get Stafford, but that leads you into what the Rams gave up for Stafford. They gave up 3 picks, 2 potential first-rounders, and their quarterback. So what do you think a team is going to give up for Deshaun Watson, who is a way better quarterback than Matthew Stafford? It's interesting to think about. Now, we haven't had that much movement in the Deshaun Watson story as of now. I personally am on the Miami train. I think he would be a very good fit in Miami. He is a combination of the 2 quarterbacks that Miami has already. But we'll talk about that when it gets a little bit closer. But for now, good luck to Matthew Stafford. We will see you next season because we are playing the NFC West. And I tell you, the Rams completely won this trade, and it should be very fun to watch the NFC West coming up this next season. You have the Seahawks, who are always decent with Russell Wilson. We'll see if they can fix their defensive and offensive line issues. You have the Niners, who are coming back healthy and possibly with a new quarterback. You have the Cardinals, who played very well until injuries started getting on them, and they kind of fell off. And now you have the Rams, who their only weakness was Jared Goff. Number 1 overall defense, decent amount of weapons out there, and we'll see what happens with Matthew Stafford under center. So, what do you think? Do you think Matthew Stafford, the trade was good? Do you think that the Rams won the trade? And do you think he'll be successful? Also, how do you think this will affect Deshaun Watson's trade outline? Let me know what you guys think. Until next time, thank you for tuning into RJ Running Unhinged, and we'll see you guys next time.